The existence of the island was a peculiar one to say the least, almost a perfect flat square in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It was believed to be created by some yet to be known geological phenomena, or maybe God. Nevertheless, because of its isolation, it was never colonized by humans until the 20th century, which is where the story of Low Harbor begins. The story begins with this discovery. Low Harbor Island was found in the middle of the Indian Ocean by American warboats mapping the bottom of the ocean via sonar after World War II. 2 years later, the island would be inspected by adventure capitalist Amber Rogers, a daughter of a West Virginian mining tycoon looking for new property. Over a quick land inspection, it was quickly discovered that there were massive deposits of unique types of jasper that were incredibly rare and, quote, quite pretty looking. This would pique the interest of jewelers, and demand for this type of jasper would soar among the rich. Low Harbor would become a U.S. territory. It is then subsequently populated lightly by people working for Rogers in the old industry district as well as the jasper mines. It would be put in hastily made homes, which is now called Lowtown. The next year would lead to some more population growth, and with it, the people of Low Harbor made the Low Harbor City Council, and plans of a main street just west of Lowtown. Because of its dependence on food being completely reliant on importation and the limited space, the council recommended growing crops on the front lawn to continue on if the worst were to happen. Within the next decade, the town undergoes some serious growth. The city gains power, and with it builds some parks and flushes out the main street a little bit. Industry continues to flourish, and Rogers becomes a multimillionaire even before she gets inheritance. In 1961, the grid-like sprawl of the city becomes boring for both the residents and the city council. Plans to make a winding suburban area come to light just east of Lowtown. Just a year later, plans would go into effect for this higher income neighborhood with winding streets going right up the woods. In the words of a city planner, it was a low-density, high-income neighborhood with winding, confusing, and overall suboptimal road patterns. We decided to name it Wayzata. They specifically targeted the upper class and lower high class in America to come down to retire on this remote island, advertising it as a small paradise of sort. The plan worked, and soon many more people would become residents of Low Harbor and bring some new money into the economy. In 1965, Main Street had to be extended to 2 lanes because of traffic. Due to the sudden upheaval of businesses and blocks connected to it, they decided to redesign it a little bit to add some density. The airport was also built around this time by Rogers to help transport more goods and workers. After the introduction of new mining technology, an educated workforce was deemed necessary to Mrs. Rogers, leading her to create the University of Jasper, complete with residence halls, a medical school, and a fully funded library. All of this funded out of pocket. She had become that rich. The year is 1973. The oil crisis that struck the US gave one J.D. Stinger a drive to find some oil. A resident of Low Harbor all his life, he was familiar with the geography of the island and noticed a treeless area with the telltale signs of oil deposits. Working with a business associate in the mainland US to avoid going through Rogers, Stinger would secure a mining license and drilling license for oil on the island. The oil provided to be extremely profitable and made Stinger outrageously wealthy. The new multi-millionaire did what multi-millionaires do, and that is take an interest in city planning. Of course. What else would it be? Wanting to be remembered fondly, Stinger planned to make a district similar to what he saw in LA with the boardwalk. Almost seemingly from retaliation, Rogers wanted to fit more workers into her domain, and added some more density to her mines, and added some low-income housing options very close to the mines. He'd also built the Jasper Forest Road Network as an additional route for her supplies to go through so she didn't have to go through the city, but this plan didn't fully go through. After oil prices went back to normal, Stinger's ventures proved to be successful in providing the island with a new form of income, tourism. The unique island with its new entertainment district led to tourism boom that was sure to turn into a property one. Stinger, not at all blind to this, would buy up most of the northwestern bits of island left unpopulated to turn into property. The city council decided to construct the statues of labor and living, adding to the tourism boom. Citizens of Wayzata also protested the use of the backwoods road as being too noisy, and they preferred the atmosphere of the quieter, darker woods behind them. Rogers had no choice but to comply with the council's demands. The year is 1990, and although he had bought the property nearly a decade earlier, Stinger was still hesitant to develop it, and looking for a way to make it stand out when compared to Wayzata or just some other rich neighborhood. He would find the style while visiting Silicon Valley, with a tech-inspired look and a promise to be kept up to date with the newest technology. The property was finally starting to take shape. In 1995, Rogers would start to change her old industry district into a more modernized one to create some more materials for Stinger to capitalize on the technology boom. In 2003, the rise of the internet only makes Stinger's property more valuable, with Stinger now making it so parks are now free to visit to drive up some property values even more. In 2008, Amber's son Flint takes over the family business. Knowing that Stinger's properties target the techie type, Flint buys up old properties near the oil wells and turns them into some office space, giving them places to work. He also improves the campus, giving them a basketball court and new landscaping. Increased density around the campus was required due to nationwide recognition of one of the best small colleges in the US. The COVID pandemic didn't hit the secluded island. Once the discovery of the virus was confirmed, the island shut its borders, using its position as a territory to refuse access to outsiders. The vaccine was administered to 80% of the vaccinatable population as of July 2021. The island was reopened once again to tourists, where the island still stands today.